sorts of ways. I think I love working on big budget stuff because then you can see how the machine works when there's an army behind it, you know? And then I love working on indie stuff when often there's less time and fewer resources on the con side, but on the pro side, it's often more collaborative and there's more room for creativity and wiggle room for problem solving. So yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't want to pick. I like bouncing around. I get restless. I'm not really feeling this line.
What's wrong with the line?
The circus just left town, bitch. How's it going, the movie?
You want to cast a name.
I just don't know why I'm not enough.
Why don't you just make your own shit? You know what they say, write what you know.
Hey Jeremy, this is from the team telling you that the circus has left town, bitch.
You want to play?
Write what you know. Write what you know. Write what you know.
The cliff's edge used to seem so far away. Until one day, my toes were hanging off the edge. And it just felt like I thought they were gonna push me. So I jumped.
Would you believe me if I said it was self-defense?
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was. Hey, hold on. Now I have to ask because you did say you're like, oh, my film quality got better. Is this all you again, huh?
I helped. I helped, but I did not direct. Raymond Wood directed this one, but I did co-write it. And I was involved in some of the producing. I helped with a lot of the casting and some of the like logistical stuff, but I hadn't seen that like updated trailer yet. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you were a co-writer on it. That's awesome. So obviously it borrows some of your past experiences in the industry. Can you tell us a little bit of what it's about and what can we expect?
Yes, I don't want to tell you too much because I think it's really fun to go in totally blind, or at least a little bit blind. But
cool.
But yeah, so I co-wrote it with Todd Jacobs. It premiered at Fright Fest on their IMAX screen, which was bonkers to an audience of over 700 people. It was like a 50-foot, like it was insane. It was so much fun. Over in London on like a Friday night. It was so much fun. And people really seemed to like it, like who had no idea what was coming to them. Yeah, so it's a meta horror. So essentially I play kind of a fictionalized version of myself that's dealing with working in being known for kind of a B horror clown movie and decides to take some matters into their own hands. And I don't really want to say too much more than that. Oh, I guess what you do know from the synopsis is that one of the fans like breaks into my home dressed as the clown from the movie, and you'll see how that goes for them once you watch it.
So it's almost like a horror Birdman.
Oh, I like that. That's a fun comparison.
Batman. Well, because that's what it was when I watched Birdman. Michael Keaton played Batman. This was supposed to be Birdman 3. He never did it, right? And it's like Batman 3 he was supposed to do, never did it. So it's almost like you said, like a meta of a real life version of himself. So very similar to
I like that. I like that a lot. And you'll see at the point at which it's not like me anymore, because obviously it gets very elevated. But it starts from that meta place, exactly, of like kind of a nod to the fans, but a story that I'm telling this time, for sure. But yeah, it's also meant to be the sort of the kind of story that we see a lot about, like Joker origin stories, or like King of Comedy, Taxi Driver, Travis Bickle, like these stories about how does someone become, like watching somebody become a little bit unhinged, and that sort of arc of someone who starts as the protagonist and maybe doesn't end that way. But I don't want to say anything else. You can't get any more information out of me. That's it. I'm drinking coffee. I won't be speaking.
Those are the best films when we get to go on that journey with you and maybe go down a path that we didn't want to in the beginning. So yeah, I'm
Thank
excited
you.
for that.
I
Looks
can't wait for you to
fantastic.
see it. I can't wait for you both to see it.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Okay.
Now I'll apologize to both of you now and anybody listening. I may get a little touchy on this subject here, but in the industry there is a lack of prominent female actors and directors and writers out there. When we talk about horror, we think of Robert Englund and Tony Todd and Kane Hodder, and the directors, Wes Craven and John Carpenter. When some of the best directors and performances are out there are from women, right? Mary Lambert's Pet Sematary. My God, I love that movie. She did an amazing job, and we just don't hear from her anymore. Or even performances from like Marsha Gay Harden as Miss Cromartie in Silent Hill.
People
Tremendous.
forget, including myself, American Psycho was directed by a woman. That's another good example of like someone like when you're following along with the villain, basically. Yeah.
And I don't know what your perspective of it is. It maybe like toxic fandoms that we're seeing more of? Is it just people not understanding in the industry itself the importance of female characters? Because the best performances, I think, typically come from women actors.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely recommend reading. I used to have it over here. Yeah, Men, Women, and Chainsaws is a book that I highly recommend reading because it talks a lot about how it is interesting, right? Because horror is so often told from the female perspective, but that's not necessarily reflected in the number of women behind the camera as writers or as directors. But it doesn't stop men from like relating to those characters. Like like you're saying about Terrifier, like Tara is a woman, and yet like you were in her shoes the whole time until you weren't. But like that doesn't stop people from relating. So part of it, I definitely, there's been a lot of research on this. Gina Davis, her institute has done a lot of research on this, which I recommend looking into. There's a fascinating history when films first started, when like the first films were being made, a lot of directors were women, like overwhelmingly tons and tons of female directors. And it was actually when the banks got involved in making films that changed because of, systemic bias. And I highly recommend doing more research about that because it's wild. And I remember learning about that and having my mind blown. I do think that some of it now is a reflection of toxic fandom. Some of it is the way that misogyny plays out in that, like, people want to make movies with their friends and with the people that they've known their whole lives. And so you see that, I'm not going to name names necessarily, but you see that in like, in groups that it's like, it's a bunch of dudes and it's a bunch of white dudes. And it's like, well, because those are the people that he's been surrounded by his whole life. Like it's very often like a matter of us having to like expand our own friend groups and our own like collaborative spaces just to meet people that we wouldn't necessarily like have been integrated with immediately. So that's some of it, of just like people hiring their friends and whoever's closest to them. Some of it's that, some of it's like systemic. Some of it is that certain groups are allowed to make mistakes while some others aren't. Like, male directors, especially white ones, especially cisgendered, rich ones, are allowed to make a movie and have it flop, and then they're given several million more to make another one. Whereas if a woman has a movie flop or a global majority person has a movie flop, a lot of the people, the gatekeepers in charge of decision making will say, well, it's because of this, rather than giving them a chance to make mistakes. Because, everyone should be allowed to make shitty movies. Everyone should be allowed to make shitty movies and make more movies and like learn from them. I do think it is changing, and I do think that there are a lot of a lot of women and like non-binary, gender non-conforming people behind the camera that we just already making stuff that we just don't necessarily know about because they don't necessarily have the same resources in terms of like platforms and marketing. But they're definitely out there. It's not for a lack of being able to find them. I mean, a lack of them being there. It's just a lack of like how hard people are willing to try. Because that's the other problem, is that I've worked on sets where, you know, the producers say we want a female director for this, and they just hire like the first woman they find rather than finding someone who's actually qualified. And then when it goes bad, like, you know, everyone's perplexed and doesn't understand. And so it is a matter of, sometimes it is more work to find people that aren't just in your immediate vicinity who are qualified, but it can be done, and it absolutely should be. And you know, when we do have opportunities to open doors for other people, we should make sure that, you know, we're being inclusive about that. And obviously, like, you know, this is hard for a lot of people to talk about, because I think when we bring up things like this, a lot of us can feel like attacked or defensive, or like, well, you know, does that mean like my voice is not needed? Like, no, it's, so for example, like Raymond Wood, who directed Faceless After Dark, he's a great example of this. Like, he's probably my favorite white guy that I know. I love him very much. He's very, very like great human being, really talented artist. He makes a point of like hiring a really inclusive team around, like hiring people that reflect what the world actually looks like, and then actually listening to them and giving everybody autonomy. So it's like, you know, no one's coming for your jobs. We all like can do this stuff together, but you know, it's just a matter of like, it's collaboration, you know? And I'm always of the thought group of like, nothing about us without us. So like, if your film is about a woman and you're not a woman, get a female producer who like aligns with the story, or like talk with your actor who you hire about like their experience and how you can infuse more of their experience into the character. Like, you know, it's inclusivity is ultimately a good thing, and ultimately a rising tide lifts all ships. So the better things get for some of us, the better they get for all of us.
Yep. Thank you for talking about that. I know it's a tough thing to talk about, but
I'm glad you guys are giving me a platform.
It's not a buzzword.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's not a buzzword. It's a way of life. That's how we should treat everybody.
That's right.
Okay. No, I think you nailed it on the head. Well, what you said in your summary is, I think there's a difference between people bringing up great points, toxic fandom, because overall it is who is qualified. It shouldn't matter if this person is XYZ ABC. Are they qualified to tell this story, right? Do they have the credentials? Is there their first? If this is their first, then they should start with the indie stuff, the small stuff, like we were saying before, not on a big production, right? Do they know the source material? They never heard of the source material. Maybe they should study that, because in all jobs, it doesn't matter, not just in film, in all jobs, right? You have to know what you're talking about and know what you're doing and stuff like that. So I think you totally nailed it on the head. Is just like, if you're qualified, why not? Right? Now, if you're not qualified, then you shouldn't just be hiring people for the sake of hiring people, just like you said. So kudos to you, man. That was a good summary.
Yeah, I mean, and it doesn't have to, like, you know, not everything has to be a big statement. Like Puya Mohensi, who plays the cat lady or whatever her character is called in Terrifier, she's trans. Like, did the character have to be trans? No. Is it relevant to the movie? No. But she's a great fucking actor, and so like, that's who Damien cast. And that's a good example of like, you can be, I'm not saying Damien is the like the pinnacle of inclusivity by any means. He and I have had many conversations about this. But what I am saying is that like, you can hire people who are just good at what they do and be inclusive at the same time. And it doesn't have to be this big, like, I'm making a statement. It's just like, no, this is my way of life, and this is just what's the right thing to do. And you can do both at the same time.
Yep.
Yes.
I like that, Danny. The question should always be going forward, why not? Forget other stuff. Just why not? Why not?
And it's important for like, the thing is, like, deconstructing patriarchy is good for men. Like, it's good for everybody, you know? like men should be allowed to express themselves and flourish, and it's for all of us. It's not just for the people that like are oppressed by it.
Is the horror genre somewhere you would just like to focus on your career, or would you like to expand out of the horror genre?
I have a very soft spot for horror, and I love horror very much, and also I love other genres as well. It's not something that I've like intended to be in. People just keep wanting to see me die for one reason or another. Maybe it's because I keep talking about stuff like this and people get real upset. No, I love horror, and I love like, you know, expanding outside of it. Like I did the Front Runner, which was this political drama a number of years ago that with Hugh Jackman that like I'm really proud of, and like Renfield, the Nick Cage Dracula movie that came out last year, is horror, but it's also like a comedy and there's action in it and stuff. So like and like I was saying about, well, actually I haven't plugged this yet. I'm gonna be in Bad Boys 4, comes out this summer.
Hey!
Nice.
So yeah, and it's gonna be fun, and that one's just, you know, as you know, straight action movie, comedy, action, do some stunts in it. That'll be fun too. So yeah, I like a little bit of everything. Yeah.
There you go. Hell yeah.
You know, the one thing with horror too is I desperately need another figurehead in horror for women. But I think it's always been horror is not afraid to tackle the topics.
That is
like they're always out there pushing the envelope.
A big part of it is that horror specifically has, I mean, and this is historically true, like horror has always been one of the most inclusive genres, and one of the most like politically active genres. Like the original Fright Night, I mean, I love using this as an example because they're like, yes, we're uncomfortable because these two men living together are vampires. That's why we're uncomfortable. They're vampires. They're sleeping in the same coffin is why everybody's uncomfortable. It's like, but because it's cool, like horror is the one genre where you can be really heavy-handed about something and it doesn't feel like you're being preached at. You know, so there's a lot of freedom in horror, and I think that's a big part of why it's like historically been so like ahead of other genres in a lot of ways. And I mean, like, just to plug other, like, I was looking up earlier because I'm like, I know every time someone asks me something, I like blank. And I wanted to make sure I like had these horror films that they're ready so that I wouldn't be in the shower later. Like, damn it, why didn't I talk about? But like, some of my favorites directed by women are Raw, the French horror, fucking amazing. Saint Maud, if you haven't seen it, I think it came out a year or two ago.
Yeah.
So good. It was an A24 movie. It's amazing. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, those are just two of my favorites. But there are a million of them. Oh, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. Yeah. There's so many. Good stuff.
Wow.
We're going to do something a little bit different on our interviews. We're going to just have 6 rapid-fire questions. And let's go ahead and dive right into it.
Okay.
Jenna, favorite horror film?
John Carpenter's The Thing.
Ooh, nice.
Did it come through? Did
It's
it
awesome.
happen?
Okay.
You heard me? Okay.
Yeah. God, I heard that so many times. Anyway, favorite horror villain?
Oh no. I gotta say Travis Bickle again, I guess.
Okay.
From Taxi Driver.
All right. Favorite final girl?
Bruce Willis in Die Hard.
Favorite final girl is Bruce Willis.
Yes.
I love it. That's fantastic.
That's not what I said.
Well, I was about to say Bruce Willis from Die Hard, favorite final girl. I'm like, Rick and Morty did it with Summer, so that counts.
That's right.
So
that's a great episode. Oh my god.
All right. The last greatest film that you watched.
The last greatest film.
Like, to you, like you're like, oh my god, this is the greatest film ever. Like your last one that you're like, that's a really great film.
Past Lives. Oh. So good.
And what is one film that everybody should watch?
One film that everybody should watch. Can I cheat?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
Shit, I should have had something ready for this. You even warned me this is coming. I have a list because every time anyone asks me about something, I immediately forget everything I've ever done and who I am. Oh, duh! Oh my god. Princess Mononoke.
Oh,
That is my favorite Miyazaki film of
It's
all
the best
time.
Miyazaki
Same.
film. Yeah.
Is it really, Dave?
Yeah, it is.
Look at that! I literally just rewatched it the other day. I don't know why I had to look it up. It's so good. It's my entire ethos.
I introduced all of my kids to that film in the theaters when it got re-released.
That's so cool. I love that.
Yes.
I have trouble with the re-releases just because I'm a purist about subs over dubs. But
Yes.
you gotta
Thank
see it.
you.
If that's the only way to see it, just see it, and then you can always watch the subs version later. But
So certain dubs are better than subs, right? But Princess Mononoke, when I first saw it, was dubbed before
Really?
I saw it subbed, and I loved. Oh yeah, because I love Billy Bob Thornton and all the voices on there were so iconic that you're just like, wait, I know these voices, especially when I was younger. And then when you got to see who it was, you're like, oh wait, I know these people, right? So it was actually really
That's
surreal for me.
interesting.
But I'm a big weeb. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
think I've ever
totally.
seen
It's
the
a big
dubbed
weeb.
version of Princess Mononoke. I think I've only ever watched the subs because I'm such a snob.
Same here.
No.
Yeah.
Listen, I own it. I own the DVD.
Okay.
Okay. Watch it. The sub is really good, and what's good about it, because you know how things get lost in translation sometimes.
Yep.
The reason why I say certain dubs are better than subs is because of our
Mhm.
culture, and so
Yeah.
certain dubs, the jokes
Yeah.
will change, or the certain things will change for us
Yes.
to get with
Yeah.
in our culture. And Princess Mononoke does a fantastic
Okay.
job doing it.
All right. So I don't want us to be all film snobs, but yes, subtitles are great. I had my my girls introduced to that at 10
That's
and 11.
awesome.
But there is one movie you want to watch dubbed, and that's The Conference. It's a slasher movie from Germany or Belgium, and it's hilarious dubbed.
Okay. I've never heard
Nice.
of that one. Someone sent me like a clip of me being dubbed in German, and it was the weirdest. It was so strange. Very bizarre. I was like, good for them getting this job and doing me justice. But
Right?
it was just German's just such an angry language. Like Spanish is like
Yes, yes,
beautiful
it is.
and like a massage to your ears, and then German is not. Not that.
It's like you can be happy and still
Exactly.
sound angry. in
Exactly.
German.
It's like you can tell someone you love them, and I'm like, what did I do to you?
Exactly. All right. Even though I hate Peeps, but I'm gonna ask: Peeps candy, stale or fresh out of the package?
What? I don't actually think I can eat Peeps because
Okay.
I don't think Peeps are vegan. I think Peeps have gelatin in them.
I'm gonna slow it down.
Hot topic, I guess. Oh my god. I'm
Are they
pretty
really?
sure they have gelatin in them, so I don't think I can eat them.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I did not know
Yeah,
that.
Gelatin's made of feet.
Probably do.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
Mm.
So in that case, I guess they're gonna be stale because I'm just never gonna buy them. Is that a thing? Is that a device?
So are you? Well, people do like Peeps either fresh or stale.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Mhm.
I can't with Peeps. I like regular marshmallows.
Yeah, I feel so out of the loop.
Don't look up how they're made.
It's like a hot dog. You do not want to know.
I mean, I do know, and I'm so sorry to tell you guys this, but I will still eat it. I love it. And Spam, I love Spam. Sorry. I know. Yeah, I know. I'm so sorry.
To me.
I'm so sorry.
It's not.
Because you're our
I see.
guest, that's why.
That's very polite. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Alrighty, so that does it for our premiere episode of Behind the Mask. Jenna, thank you. Appreciate you for being our first guest on the show. Thank you very much
I'm
for joining
honored
us.
to be the first guest. Thank you so much for having me. This is so much fun.
All right. And if anybody wants to follow you on social medias or anything like that, where can they go and
I
find that
am
at?
Squid Enthusiast on Instagram because squids are great. Cephalopods are very neat. Be friends with them. Don't eat them. Squid Enthusiast, like squid, SQUIDTHUSIAST. That's me. Yeah.
All right. That will be displayed
Oh, then
on
I
the
didn't need to
screen.
go and fucking spell it.
That's all right.
I forget how the internet works sometimes. This is my first day on here.
All right. You talked about it. Anything else that you wanted to plug coming out or anything like that? Or?
No, I feel like I have a couple things that I'm filming this spring that I'm very excited about that I cannot reveal. Oh, the music video for Super Bloom by Silent Planet. I am the main character in that. It's got a very like A24 culty vibe, and that just hit YouTube a couple days ago, so I highly recommend checking it out. It's very cool.
Ooh, nice.
And everything else is TBD.
I'll probably play for. All right. Yeah, so definitely keep an eye out for anything that she has coming because it's going to be
Yeah,
great.
that's the spirit. Thanks so much for having me. It's so good to meet you both.
No problem. It's great meeting you
you
too. Danny, anything that you want to say in closing?
Yeah, same as always, guys. You can follow me on all social media platforms. The Danny Vega Show would be my YouTube channel, and also for any of my film endeavors. And then also just stay tuned. Like I said, hopefully the Scream Fan film pans out the way we want to, get it out this year the way me and my production partner are looking to do, and super excited for that. Also, I know he probably doesn't want me to promote it, but I'm going to do anyway. So the short film that I just shot for Ryan Robertson should be out later this year. It's called Coach Love, so be on the lookout for that. So he was the director. I got to shoot it. It's going to be awesome.
And if you want to hear who Ryan is, because Danny brings him up pretty much often, go and check out this interview. It should be popping up around on the screen somewhere, so go take a look at that.
Yep.
Anyway, don't forget to do the YouTube basics. Drop a like, drop a comment, let us know what you're excited for that's coming out for Jenna, what you're excited for that she's put out in the past, and subscribe if you're not subscribed. And until the next, see ya.
Peace.